In my last review of the Gerber suspension NXT, I was pretty hard on that tool during my review because for me it's a little upsetting to have an American made or an American company or a former American company. I'm sure they're still an American company, but you get my drift. Used to make quality American tools, and then to come across this abomination, in my personal opinion, that I felt was that bad. So I gave it. Boy, this is fraying all over the place. This is making a mess. But so that's one of the reasons. I guess for the first time, I was not only not happy with the product, I was also angered. I was angered that an American company, a once respected, decent American company, put out something so bad, in my personal opinion. And then in that review, I mentioned that you could do even better than that tool for less than $30. And I even went as far as to say you could do it with a WorkPro. And I didn't know that to be a fact. After I was done with the review and I put it out, I was like, well, I don't really know that to be a fact. I don't have a WorkPro, right? I mean, that's not something I even... Whew, boy, this is not going well already. But, yeah, I don't have a WorkPro. I can't very well make a statement like that without getting it and seeing if that's true. So, you know, for $15 or $16 or whatever it is, I decided to go ahead and buy one and check it out and kind of do a review of it and tell you guys what I think of it and tell you how it's better than the Gerber suspension NXT and in some ways that it's not. It's got a real heft to it. It's quite hefty. It weighs 10.5 ounces, but it feels like it weighs more than that. I mean, I'll be honest with you. This feels like a solid chunk, which is kind of surprising. $15, you would think this is more than $15 worth of metal here. You know, it's it's something. But so let's start with kind of the outside. I mean, it's a pretty good width. I mean, it's pretty wide. I mean, in comparison to, I don't know, what do we got over here? This is just off the top of my head. Like, see if I can get this thing out of the case here. Okay, whew, that case is brand new and still kind of tight. Okay, so kind of on the same width as, like, say a you know, a Leatherman Wave, or this is the Ozark Trail Multi-Force right here, but kind of the same width, right around the same weight. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. Let's move on to the first tool here, and the blade. And the blade is kind of one of the negatives of this tool. There's something wrong with the geometry of this blade. It's not ground all the way down to the blade edge. It seems like it's just way too thick behind the edge. So when you get this thing, you're lucky to be able to cut a slice of bread with it. I mean, it was pretty dull. So I took my work sharp and I put a 20-degree edge on it, and it took a while because it basically had to re-grind the profile. So this might be a deal breaker right out of the bat for somebody. If you don't know how to sharpen knives, or you don't know how to handle a situation like this, like you don't have a lot of experience sharpening blades, or you don't have the tools to basically grind down a blade to make it better, then yeah, this might be a deal breaker right out of the gate for you. But I was able to put a pretty good edge on it. The thing is even working with this blade, you still can't get this blade super razor sharp. And I think it has everything to do with the geometry, the way it's ground. There's a problem here. There's definitely a problem with the blade, but it's reasonably sharp. I mean, it's pretty reasonably sharp now. It does okay. I was seeing if I had some paper, but you know, it'll slice paper. It's not razor sharp or anything like some people like to have their blades. But if you're just a guy that opens up boxes and needs a reasonably sharp blade, this will do the trick. But the blade, they're definitely sharpened by somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. Blade geometry not correct. So there's that. But let's move on. This is a flathead screwdriver cap lifter. Not really much to spend time here. This thing does have a really nice reamer. Also, I'd like to mention that this is the WorkPro 15-in-1 is what they're naming this. And I have seen some other reviews from, for instance, We All Juggle Knives. He did a review on this, but this one is different than the one that he did. This one has scissors, for instance, and there's some different features that this one has that the one that he was messing with did not. So just keep that in mind, that this is maybe an upgraded version. They're still calling the same name or something. I don't know. But this reamer actually works really well. This is actually a really good reamer. I tried it out. It works pretty well. Okay. So that's one of the highlights of this tool. If you're a guy that really wants a good reamer, this one's good. And then we got the larger flathead screwdriver. This also is works really well. It's ground on both sides to a really nice edge, which I prefer. When tools are ground on one side, I mean, that's fine, but I really like it when they're ground on both sides. Pretty stout tool, can be used for light prying. Okay, so moving on, and let's get to the file. The file is reasonably good. I don't have any issues or problems with the file. It's cross pattern on one side and a single direction on the other side, goes all the way to the edge. The end of the file is not made into a screwdriver for once. So, I mean, pluses or minuses on that. So, I mean, now it's, can be used for, scraping or digging, maybe even some light prying as well for that, if you need a longer reach for prying. Really solid in there, no play. All right, so let's flip it over to the other side. And here we go over here. And this is the biggest difference between ones I've seen in the past of this same model. It has scissors, and these scissors are really good for their size and function. Comfortable to push down. You can see I'm using my index finger. Real easy to push down. The spring is good. They do cut really well. Sometimes you need a tool to get out your tools, kind of thing. This is a can opener, really similar to can openers you've seen. Cap lifter here, can opener here. Probably works reasonably well, just like any other, can openers on multi-tools that none of us really ever use. All right, now the Phillips driver is, really long shank on it, or a decently long shank. I do really like that. However, for my purposes, I feel that this screwdriver is not precision ground. It's not very well done. And again, keep in mind, like I told you at the beginning of this review, when it comes to the Phillips screwdriver, that's one of my wants and needs. So this one falls short of that. This is a general purpose size 2 Phillips, and it's not particularly well done. It does do, regular everyday wood screws and metal screws, things of that nature, just fine. I did try it on some damaged screws, and it cams out of those, but you can still get them unscrewed, unfastened, or whatnot. So I would rate this screwdriver right around about the same as the one that was on the Gerber suspension NXT. These are about the same in disappointment level. The shank on this, I'll like to mention, is rectangular and not fully square, so that probably precludes using it for using any kind of bit adapter on there, like some people like to do. The head of the screwdriver does have a perfectly square shank, but even if that does fit, you slide that bit adapter over this and it'll wobble on the back. I mean, if that doesn't bother you, then you could try that. But just want to mention that for those people that go, oh, I like a Phillips like that so I can use a bit driver adapter on it. Well, this one's probably not going to be great for that. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. And it does have a lanyard for those of you guys that like to decorate the back end of your multi-tools. Some of you out there like to add beads and what other types of things of that nature, and you can certainly just have a blast with this one. So let's put the screwdriver down, and then finally a really big surprise. The saw on this, usually budget multi-tools, the saws generally suck. I mean, but that, for whatever reason lately, has been getting better and better and better. This saw is really, really spectacular. It's really a good saw. I was looking at it and I noticed that it is tapered correctly. You know, it's tapered from fat to narrow at the top. It is tapered correctly, but I just didn't notice very much of a taper. But then I used the saw and I was really pleasantly surprised at how well it worked. So you guys out there that want a good saw and a multi-tool, or you want an extra tool with a saw or something of that nature, this is a really good saw. Okay, so let's move on to the pliers. And these are really strongly spring-loaded. The spring on this is a little bit more strong than the Wingman. See, the Wingman is, if you've ever used one of these, this is kind of a, that's, you're used to that kind of spring tension. Well, this one is a little bit better than that. It's a little bit more better. And these really wide handles make this one of the most comfortable pliers that I've ever used. These are really, really comfortable. Let's look at the tip here. The tip comes to a fairly a fairly decent point. Let me see if I can. There is play in the head. Let me see if you can see that. But there's a slight amount of play in the head. It's not that much, see? But it is enough that it does affect the cutting ability. Let me zoom back out now. Okay, so it does affect the cutting ability. Plier head, unfortunately, it's there's enough play here that when you clamp down on a wire to cut it, that the jaws shift over just enough that it's a problem. It does cut solid wire great, but stranded wire, it's a problem. The power in these pliers are very good. The grip is good. The reach is good. I mean, everything is good except for there is play back and forth. There's no play in the handles. There's no play in any of the tools. There's no play anywhere There's no flexing. There's no anything like that like you get with that Gerber NXT. I mean, these are solid as a rock, but there is slight play in the head, and it's an unfortunate situation. Also, I want to mention that when I pulled this thing out of the box, all of these tools were super tight. They were very difficult to get out. I had to work them all in, and the locks were, you'd pull out a tool like this, and this lock was so strong that I was having difficulty closing any of the tools. So I ended up having to take a large screwdriver and jam it into the lock and wiggle it, back and forth like this, just until I loosened up this lock enough to even make the tool usable. It just comes out of the box pretty just crazy tight. Like you can't, for mine anyway, for my version, for my example, I should say, very difficult to use the locks. But once I did that with a screwdriver, I just jammed a big screwdriver in there and just started rocking it back and forth like this. And I loosened up these locks to where now they work, now they work perfect. You can open up the blade. These locks are very, very stout. So if you're looking for a multi-tool that has locks that are for sure locking up the tools, you'd be hard-pressed to find a stronger lock than what's on this thing. They are, all the tools just positively and big time lock in place with these monstrous tool locks that they have on this thing. So overall, I'm still going to stand by the fact that this is a better buy than the Gerber NXT. And I would recommend this to somebody over the Gerber NXT any day of the week. But, if you need to cut a lot of wire, well, then that might be a problem for you. The knife blade might be a problem for you if you can't, fix that on your own. But overall, this is surprisingly good. I can't believe that this only costs $15. This is, if you need an extra tool that you don't care about, you want to just throw it in a glove box or maybe in your ATV or UTV or something like that, and you just need a place to store, to have another multi-tool that you don't really care about, this would be a good choice. And I'll post a link in the description to where you can get this. And then one final thing, here's the case it comes with. Nothing special. I mean, I don't suspect that this will last very long. I mean, it's not the most durable of cases, but it fits in there and it'll get you going until it wears out and you can get something else. It's not bad though. I mean, I've seen worse. It's got a snap closure, so that's good. Instead of the Velcro situation. But overall, definitely, as far as budget-friendly multi-tools go, this is going to be one of the better ones. Definitely worth a consideration. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell if you'd like to get notified of every time that I release a new video. I'm going to be doing a lot of reviews like this right now during the time where I can't really leave the house and I'm really busy at work and stuff. So I'm going to be catching up on some of these reviews that I've been letting sit around for a while. So check out my website at newzonarides.com, and we'll catch you on the next one. I hope you enjoyed the review. Let me know in the comments what you think, and we'll catch you on the next go around. On that end.